Sunny, when you started off with cricket, these days we find that parents generally want their children to be either engineers or doctors. In your time, was there any kind of compulsion that you have to go into some professional line?
No, I think the concern of parents all the time will always be that their children get into a profession where there is a certain consistency, a certain security. Sports as a career option is always a little bit insecure because it depends on form. If you're in a team sport, it also depends on selection. If you're in an individual sport, it depends on how good you are. So parents naturally are a little bit concerned about the kind of profession that their children look for. But having said that, I think certainly sport and in India, cricket and tennis to a great extent have become career options because in the short shelf life that a sports person has of say 10, 15 depending on how good you are, there's an opportunity to earn enough so that they can start a business to look after their post retirement time.
In your days, when you started playing, I mean, what kind of support did you receive from your parents? I mean, did they say that focus on your education, or I mean, was there any such clause as such?
No, I think my parents, while emphasizing the importance of education, never stopped me from playing the game.
Okay.
Yes, I think there was just 1 year when I actually hadn't done well in my studies, and my parents thought that maybe that my concentration wasn't quite there. That I was told to maybe cut down on cricket, but that was just one, maybe even half a term, as you might call it. But apart from that, no, my parents were most encouraging about taking up sport, because sport and cricket in particular teaches you so much. That it's a team sport. It's a bit like it teaches you to live in a society where there will be the haves and the have-nots. There will be batsmen who have the ability to bat, playing with batsmen who do not have the ability. But unless that other person is at the non-striker's end, you're never going to be able to get 100, because the batsman can't score 100 on his own unless he has a non-striker. A bowler can't take wickets unless there is somebody to take catches, somebody as a fielding side to stop the singles being taken. So you realize therefore that cricket is a game that teaches you so much more about how to live in a society with all its inequalities.
And when you started cricket commentary, I've heard that you've done commentary for Channel 9 and all that. Over a period of time, did you at any one point feel that there was a huge inflection point in terms of you adapting to a lot of technology that's coming?
I think it really is at the start, because what happens is when you quit the game and suddenly you're starting something new, then it takes you a little time to learn. And if you're keen to learn, like in cricket, when you're batting, you go to different people to talk about how to improve your range of shots, how to improve your defense, how to improve your concentration level. Similarly, I think as a commentator or even as a writer, if you go to different people who have done it before, who are in the profession, and take their advice, they will come up with some fantastic advice. Richie Benaud gave me some fantastic advice when I started commentating for BBC. He was doing some. And you tend to sort of therefore learn from there, with watching and observing others, and then seeing how they do it. Talking to them is a very good way of learning.
Now, for cricketers, it's pretty much easy to get into commentary because people want to hear your views because you've already been there, done that. But for amateur people, like for example, I mean, like let's say for me, I for one am really interested in cricket. What is your advice for people who are not related to cricket but who still want to take up a career in say cricket journalism? How do you go about how do I go about if I have to say make?
Well, I think basically you've got to be able to see if you're looking at just writing. I would imagine that what you would want to do is to be able to capture the reader by talking about the game in a way that the reader wants to read about it. You can turn around and pretty much say that the batsman played fantastic drives in this, but maybe if you talk about the drive and what made the drive a little bit special, I'm just or the bowling and what made the
It's more so the audio, the being on the ground and giving live commentary.
Yeah, so that is something that will obviously have the viewer, the reader hooked. Once that happens, then you've created a niche for yourself, and from there you can sort of improve on that to be able to to do what you like in spite of the fact that you might not have played the game at the highest level.
And one last question. Now, if you were to, I mean, apart from yourself, if you were to call somebody's voice as, the voice of cricket really immortal, which three people would you pick out in terms of commentary?
Well, obviously, John Arlott would be number one. He's been Richie Benaud is another who comes to mind straight away, and I think Tony Cozier would be the third.
Okay, I thought you would say Tony Greig because of. Thanks a lot, Sunny.
Cheers.
This is for your personal
Personal blog.